Hi everyone, thank you for coming back and tuning in and watching us on Industry Disruptors. Of course, I'm joined again by Jordan, and I'm Ajay, Hearthstone Mortgages, and today we're going to be chatting about what lenders want. And sometimes I kind of get...
It's an endless pit.
I haven't got a clue what they want. They change their mind consistently.
Sometimes they ask us things and even we don't know what they're asking, and then we call them and they don't know what they're asking. So we've got no hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where if a lender has a certain criteria, you've got those ones that are tick box exercises. And it's like, right, the system says I have to ask this. And then you'll ask them, what exactly are you asking for? Oh, I'm not sure. Not sure.
Well, usually they have a set. We want this, this and this. Yeah. And then you give it to them. And then the whole can of worms is opened, usually.
Yeah, I think one thing that quite annoys me, and I think if it actually annoys a lot of clients, is when they'll ask a question, and then 2 days later another one, and then 3 days later another one, and then 4 days later another one.
Just ask them all.
And it's like, bitch, ask me at the beginning everything. I want to know everything now. I can get everything you need and I can give it to you.
Yeah.
But
drip
it doesn't
feeding
happen.
us.
Yeah, but then obviously clients get wound up because they're just like, why didn't you just ask me at the beginning? It's like, do you not think that I would ask you at the beginning if I had that information that they wanted? But I guess doing, the process that we go through with clients, asking them for certain documents that we know every single lender is going to ask for. And then, yes, there are certain lenders will then ask for something else or something different. I think we got that process down quite well. But so I can understand from a client's perspective, it's like, why didn't you ask for that? It's like, well, I didn't know they were going to ask for that. It's not normally something that they ask for. Of course, if you're certain lenders, you ask for 10,000 years worth of bank statements.
Head circumference, cat's maiden name.
Cat's maiden name.
The cats have maiden names.
Do cats have maiden name?
Probably not.
Are you sure? Oh gosh, can you imagine that? But yeah, different timelines, different SLAs, service level agreements. For those of you that don't know, what do you think it is that kind of bothers you the most, or excites you the most?
There's so many.
Okay.
Let me just get my scroll out. Two things is, one, when they ask stupid questions. They're just stupid, like, why do you have a credit card?
Oh, do you remember that? On my case.
No, it was my case.
Oh, for me, I was the client. You were my mortgage advisor.
Was I?
Yeah.
Oh, it was one of us, yeah.
No, do you remember? And you put it through, and I had the credit cards. I had done those two refurbs.
Yeah.
I did the two refurbs on that credit card.
Why does the client have a credit card?
Because I want one.
Because I literally put that as well, because he wanted one. They accepted it.
Did they?
Yeah. What else am I supposed to say?
Why? I just find it the most bizarre question
Just
under
really,
the sun.
Strange. They're just so unnecessary, and they're time waste, and they just are stupid. Like, there's no other way. There's no nice way of saying it. It's just a ridiculous question. Yeah. And the second one is when you give them a bank statement and they'll say, can you just highlight the rent? I can't see it. And it literally says rent.
Rent. Oh, that's...
You're like,
no,
it's on the first line. Do you remember that one I had?
Yeah.
It was on the first line and it said rent for property. And I was like,
no, that comes down to laziness, because I had a phone call today from one of the lenders. They called me first thing this morning. By the way, we've received your 6 month bank statements for this client, and we want to know which mortgage payments are for this property, this property, this property. And I was like, do you have the property schedule? Yes, I have the property schedule. On that property schedule, it has the lender's name for that property. Not only that, it has the mortgage payment amount for that property. So if you go through the bank statements, you will see which property refers to which lender and how much you're paying that lender, and you'll be able to see the mortgage payments for that property. Oh, well, it's more for credit, So when we go to credit, or when we go to the offer queue, they can just open it and they can just see it's there. I was like, so why don't you just do that? Because you don't pay me enough to spend 25 minutes going through that.
I know the one that you hate is when it's on a bridge and they come back and ask why are there no mortgage payments. But that goes back to what we were talking about before in a previous episode where we were saying that if you don't have the experience of property, you probably shouldn't be on this case because you should know that 99% of bridging loans don't have monthly payments.
Yeah, but then it's the case of retained interest. Do they understand what retained interest? Do they understand why there's retained interest, why there aren't monthly payments? And it's like, I think I've had it a couple of times where they asked the question, where are the monthly mortgage payments? And then it was, I explained to them it's a retained bridge. So the interest has been retained for a year. I was like, yeah, but the interest never came out of their bank account.
Because it was retained.
I was like, do you understand the meaning of retained? It means that they didn't give that portion of money to the client. Yeah. They kept the interest for the whole year and gave the rest of the money to the client. Therefore, there's no payment that goes from the client in interest. It's just like, why are you even in property? Why are you an underwriter? You should go somewhere else and do something else.
But this is also what prolongs the process as well.
Yeah.
Because,
massively.
A straightforward remortgages can be done from start to finish in 8 weeks. I mean, you've had one done didn't you have one done in 4 weeks?
12 days.
12 days. Oh,
from application to completion. Because everyone was on it. Everyone at the lender was on it. The solicitors were on it. Done and dusted.
Yeah. I mean, that's a rarity, but...
it is a rarity, but obviously when we were speaking to Julian, who obviously we're going to have as a guest on here, I asked him the question outright. I said, on remortgages, Julian, as a conveyancing firm or as a solicitor, how long do you need to process a mortgage to complete from offer? And he goes, to be honest, we can do it in about 6 working days.
Yeah.
It usually takes about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because, sometimes there are aspects that come into it. Lenders ask silly questions or lenders have ridiculous amounts of information that they want. But on a bog standard, normal remortgage, 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that never happens or hardly ever happens.
Hardly ever happens because it's just one of those things where either the client hasn't replied quick enough or...
solicitors backlogged or lazy.
Solicitors backlogged, or the solicitor's forgotten about it, and they're working on another case and they completely forgot they had to go back to it, which happens, when you're doing, I'm doing 130 mortgages at one particular time, and then I've got clients saying, oh, have you done this? It's like, give me a chance, mate. Give me a chance.
No, you're my only client.
Yeah, exactly. You're my only client in this world. Everything should be for you. But yeah, I think 133 was the most that I had on my desk at one given time. And it's just,
But a lot of it is lenders. Because look at the ones that you've got on your desk at the moment.
Oh, gosh.
We're talking like applications that went in February that still aren't offered because of the lender's fault.
Yeah.
Didn't they ask for the same document 3 times?
Same document 3 times. I had one where after the valuation came back, they said, oh, we're sorry, we instructed the wrong valuer. We have to re-instruct the new valuer.
Like, how do you explain that to a client? Because it looks bad on us.
No, but so in this scenario where they say, oh, we have to instruct the valuation again with the right surveyor. Okay, instruct it. Yeah, we're going to instruct it today. A week and a half later, oh yeah, we instructed it. They weren't available.
Lies.
Yeah, lies, because the client then called the surveyor, excuse me, where's my phone call? And they're like, well, we haven't been instructed. Yeah. So I then had to go back to the lender and say, you said you had instructed it. Oh yeah, we had. No, you didn't. The client phoned the surveyor and the surveyor said they'd not been instructed. Oh, let me check on that. I go and check on that. Oh, yeah, sorry. We'll instruct that now. But that happened a month ago and we still don't have the valuation report. And they say, oh, why don't you call the surveyor and ask for it? I was like, is that my job? Well, we did it anyway. And the surveyor was just like, we don't answer to you, we answer to the lender. So if the lender wants a valuation report, I was like, we can't talk to you about that case.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then I asked the lender again, can you get this information? Get the valuation report so we can get to offer. Yeah, we'll look into that. And then I think probably about 6 or 7 times over the last 5 weeks, we've asked, is there anything else outstanding apart from that valuation report? Do you need anything else so we can get it out the way? Oh, well, if there's other questions that we need answered, then, we'll come to you. It's like, well, no, tell me now, because we've been waiting for a month for this valuation report. Why don't you give me the information? So... They are all over the shop. A lot of them are just
My favourite is when lenders get petty.
Such as?
Well, I mean, I've got loads of examples, but like such as that one I had this week, where they're like, "Oh, we want 10 previous projects that they've done. I gave 9, and they wanted 10."
Yeah, but they didn't even specify they wanted 10 in the first place.
They didn't specify. They just said, "We want some."
Yeah. So you gave them 9.
Some technically be 2.
And they asked for a 10th.
Yeah.
I'm sure you told that lender where to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told them to do one. Close the case down immediately. Oh, I've moved it to another lender. It's not going to be a ball ache.
Yeah.
I told the client, and the client was happy.
That's fine.
But I love it when they get petty because it gives me opportunity.
Yeah, but I blind copied you.
Because I'm petty. I can be really petty.
Yeah, but I blind copied you into how many of my emails
I love it when that happens.
just destroying.
It's the excitement of my day.
Is it?
Yeah.
I blind copied clients into it sometimes as well.
Yeah, because that's good, because then they see what
I'm having to deal
we're
with.
actually dealing with, like the stupidity that we're actually dealing with constantly.
But I mean, here's the thing: if you look at lenders across the board, right? Let's take bridging out of it for a moment. If you look at just mortgage lenders, the process technically shouldn't be that difficult, because there's only a certain amount of things that they want or need. It's only when they then come into asking for, 10 years of bank statements.
Oh, this is reminding me. Do you remember that case I did recently? And they wanted an eBay link for a car that they'd sold 2 years ago. I was like, what? That's a new favourite of mine. That's a new level of pettiness.
I had a similar one with PayPal, where someone had bought something and then obviously used PayPal to buy, and they were like, "Oh, where is this credit agreement on their credit report?"
Like, who doesn't know what PayPal is?
And it's just like, mate, there is no credit agreement. It's not a credit card. It's a payment method.
Yeah.
Do you know? Have you heard of PayPal before?
But can you imagine me making that phone call?
Wasn't that Elon Musk's? Was it Elon Musk?
Was it? Did PayPal?
I think so.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think it was. Yeah, he created that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Love PayPal.
I remember back in, show my age, back in the mid 90s or something like that, or maybe early 90s. But anyway, he created PayPal as an international payment.
Which you'd think everyone would know of PayPal.
This underwriter fought with me for about 2 weeks and asked me the same question.
Remember.
And I was just like, there is no credit agreement. There is no credit card.
Because it's PayPal.
They're just using PayPal.
Have they never
pay for
bought anything
things
online?
No. That was that social media influencer client of mine.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But can you imagine how I felt when I had to call my client and say, sorry, can you give me an eBay link for a vintage car that you sold in 2022? Because I actually had to do that, and I was like, look, I'm really sorry.
What did the client say?
Well, I mean, luckily he's one of my closer clients that I do deals with regularly, so I've got a good relationship with him. But he was like, what the fuck?
What?
In his Irish accent that I can't do. And
oh, is it that client?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
and
cool. I like him.
he was just like, I don't even know what to get. And to be fair, we
should try and get him on here.
Yeah, he'd be great. He'd be a lot of swearing. But
That's fine. That's fine.
he was great, and he got everything. Then after I sent them the link, which had his name and his eBay account and everything, they were like, we want an invoice. They were like, it's eBay. The guy paid in cash. Like, what do you want me to do? I did get it through.
Talking about invoices, do you remember the one where we had the client had to get the roof fixed, but the freeholder of the building got it fixed? And they asked for an invoice. It was like, well, the freeholder's construction company that he owns.
He did it himself.
Was the one that fixed it.
He can't invoice himself and then pay himself.
But they asked for the invoice. We're like, okay, so the freeholder was like, fine, here's an invoice. Thank you very much. Like, yeah, we need to see proof of payment. And the freeholder was like, oh, I'm not going to pay myself, am I?
It makes it like, I remember, because you were away as well when I was dealing with the back end of that. I was on the phone to the underwriter.
You know, till today, they still haven't moved that forward.
It's still not done.
It's been 3 weeks since that phone call.
I spoke to that underwriter like I was speaking to my 6-year-old son, and she still didn't get it. She just couldn't clock on that you couldn't pay your own bank account from your own bank account.
It's insane. And that still hasn't gone through, and I just can't understand, like, why the underwriter doesn't understand that you're not going to pay yourself. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
But that's what we're talking about common sense. And we get a lot of that when it comes to adverse credit.
Yeah.
Because, some people, there is a legit reason why that silly missed payment has happened. Or I think this happened to you, where they sent a bill to the buy-to-let and you're the landlord. You don't live there.
Oh my God, I'll never forget it, because the energy company of the previous owner was sending bills to the property while I was getting it refurbished. So they've got my correspondence address, they've got the owner's address, right? They've got the name of the owner, but they're sending the bills to the property, which is 200 miles away from where I live.
I don't live there.
How am I supposed to go there and know that you sent me a letter? Well, we've sent you numerous letters. Where have you sent them? Have you sent them to my correspondence address? No. Well, how am I supposed to know about that? And they put a number 3 on my credit
I know,
file.
and you were fuming because you've never missed a payment in your life.
I was so angry. And I said, you're going to remove that now. And they wouldn't remove it.
I know.
The utility companies, absolutely disgusting. Which is why, luckily, some lenders have got a good common sense approach in that instance, where they'll just ignore utility companies because they know they're just full of shit. But I literally, I was like, how am I supposed to pay something that I don't know about if you're sending the letter there?
But also, you had that one with the default as well, with the car, which was silly. And
yeah, but that was just a what do you call them? Rogue car salesman.
But in that instance, a default can really affect your.
Well, it did.
It really
did
affect
him.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he stood up for himself, and he's like, look, I'm not going to pay for it. It is what it is.
Well,
he's taken the hit.
Well, the worst one I've seen is with one of my clients who got really sick with cancer and defaulted on pretty much everything whilst they were in hospital.
And they wouldn't take a view.
And now been completely clean for almost 2 years, I think.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
And no lender would take a view on it. And it's just like, well, if you're in hospital dying, do you think that you are going to pay your credit card?
One of my best mates says that the entire credit file system is a complete farce. In some aspects, I agree with him. Some aspects, he's just an idiot. But I tell him that because there are some certain parts of it that's just so farcical where in situations like that, everything should just be put on hold.
Yeah.
Like that there should be just no record.
Yeah.
We don't have any record of this period of time. Fine, a lender can take what they want. But where you're defaulting a client or CCJing a client when you know the guy's in hospital and he's, recovering from a very serious illness.
It's a legitimate reason, and it's an extreme circumstance. I mean, I felt so bad for him. Like, we've been fighting to get his lending. Thankfully, it's...
For years.
Yeah. I mean, he is getting lending, but at a rate.
Yeah. It is annoying. I think that common sense approach needs to come in a little bit more in those kind of circumstances. But then some dealers are like, no, we're not going to do it. And it's like, do you have a soul? And it goes back to lenders. They're not in the property game.
No.
They're in the money game, right? They're in the finance game. I can honestly, if you had maybe 10 or 15 lenders get 4 or 5 of their junior underwriters who we have to deal with, if you ask them anything about property investment, they wouldn't know.
No.
They wouldn't have a clue.
Not clue.
And it really frustrates me because it's like, what? Like, you're not even there. But then you can't do anything without them, right?
Yeah, exactly. You need them.
But I tell my clients consistently, lenders are not property investors. Lenders are finance people. They're money people, right? They're lenders. They know about how to lend. They know about risk. They know about credit. That's what they know about. They don't know about property investment. They're not down in the trenches with you when it's 10 p.m. and you've got 7 or 8 more snags to sort out with your builder before a tenant moves in the next day or something. They don't go through that experience. And I think as a mortgage advisor, having gone through that experience, I understand what a client is going through. I think it makes a big difference to have me fight in their corner because I understand the client side of things and I understand what the lender wants.
Yeah.
How to word things correctly, how to give the lender what they're actually looking for when they ask for something that's very vague, but kind of what they're asking for. And you can kind of, get really in there and help them understand the client side of things. Now, how many lenders have said, Ajay, you need to come in and chat to our underwriters?
Loads. You should do that.
I say absolutely, yeah. I'll come and talk to the underwriters.
But I think it's important that people actually understand like their credit file, because you either get the ones that are like, oh, my credit is so bad, and then you actually see it and there's like 2 missed payments on a utility, and you're like, oh, from like 2 years ago, like no one's going to care about that. Or they'll think they can never get a mortgage again because they've got some sort of adverse. So usually we can get lending, it's just at what price. And then you get the flip side of, oh, I just forgot to set up a direct debit and I'm in the middle of a mortgage application and I've missed a payment on my credit card. Like, that's just
stupidity.
Yeah, that's just recklessness. Like, they need to be educated.
Yeah, it's about not understanding how important that credit file is. But then I get loads of people, oh, I've got a great credit, I've got 999.
999.
I was like, okay, that's great, you've got 999 in experience, mate, but I need to see the body of that report, because lenders don't care about what your credit score is because they have their own score.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the main things that a lot of people don't understand. It's like, oh, my credit's brilliant. They use that credit karma nonsense.
Yeah, that's right.
That is not telling me what is.
Or they'll panic because they're like, oh, it's gone down by like 100 points. It's like, yeah, because you just took out 2 mortgages and got a credit card. Yeah. It's fine. It's okay. Like, you haven't missed any payments. You've got no default. It's all good.
But, it comes down to that education or that understanding. I mean, our schooling system is a hot mess as it is. They don't teach anyone about finance.
Well, that's why we're here, because we're teaching everything that you don't get taught in school.
It might be late, but I'm here now.
I'm
here to help.
Fashionably late.
Yeah, 4 years. But I think from a lender's perspective, where they're looking at, what issues they think they see or what risk they think they see with a client, it's not about your Experian report or your Equifax report. It's what their internal system says. And that's why I always say, forget about the score number. It doesn't exist. Ignore it. Pretend it's not even there. It's the body of that report. Each individual credit that's been taken out, a credit card, mortgage, hire purchase, PCP, all of that, and it's the history of the payments on that. That's what they care about.
Well, I'm actually in the middle of a mortgage for a client at the moment, and it came back. They're completely clean, and the lender came back and said, "Oh, there's something that's come up on the credit report, so we're going to have to decline." And I was just like, "Excuse me, no." So I rang the client, and they said, "Oh yeah, we forgot to set up the direct debit on the credit card. We missed a payment." I was like, "You're in the middle of a mortgage application." And just carelessness. Thankfully, the lender is commonsensical lender and is fine, and because it's been cleared now. But it's just unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't understand. I think everything should be a direct debit.
Everything.
I don't think anyone should ever not set up a direct debit, because there is a possibility for you to forget. Yeah. It can happen.
You go on holiday, or you get sick, or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it does matter in that kind of instance. You just set it up day one, job done. Like when you take out a credit card, just set it up for direct debit in the application. Right? When you're applying for it, it asks you what are the direct debit details, what bank.
I wouldn't want that stress anyway. I just want things to just come out naturally. I don't really want to be going onto my bank and being like, I've got to pay that. That's just too much of a headache for me.
But so let's break it down. Let's talk about the lender, their requirements. What they're looking for resi-wise, right? So residential mortgage client comes to you and you know where you're going to take it, which lender you're going to take it to, what documents you're asking for.
Standard ID, passport, driving licence usually, 3 months bank statements, 3 months pay slips, unless you're self-employed obviously, tax calculations, tax year overviews.
If they know what the tax calculations are.
If anyone knows what they are, like tax year overviews, they're like, what are those?
Yeah.
And then they'll do their own credit check, so that's fine. They might ask for, I don't know, what else do they ask for?
Utility bill the last 3 months.
Oh, utility bill. Sometimes they don't
Budget
accept
planner.
the driving license. Oh, yeah, budget planner. Sometimes that's integrated. That's about it for their standard criteria, isn't it? And then sometimes they'll come up like maybe they've had a new job and or they've had a promotion and they need the job offer letter. Sometimes they want P60, accountants letters,
Reference,
and
yeah.
all sorts.
Well, it can go on and on, but ultimately it comes down to that ID, proof of address,
which is what we would have that
statements.
on file anyway.
Yeah.
It's only the extra stuff that we wouldn't, but we obviously don't know that until
The lender decides to be an idiot.
Yeah. and ask for unnecessary documents.
Yeah, and then I guess like
Proof of deposit.
yeah, proof of deposit. Trail of funds, is it gifted? Is it your own money?
And they're hot on that at the moment. AML checks are shit hot at the moment.
I've never seen anything like it, honestly. The depth in what they go to for AML, I get it. I totally get it. But, you know, if you gift a deposit from a dad or a mum or whatever, and there's, I want to see their bank statements as well. I want to see the build-up of those, where that money has come from over the last, 2 years or whatever. It can get a little bit silly, but, I mean, I get it. But I always wonder, if a solicitor has done AML checks, would they not just take the solicitor's word for it? I guess that's an answer for Julian when we have him on.
That is to park that one.
Yeah. And then I guess, funny enough, limited company buy-to-lets, a lot of lenders that what they really, really need ultimately is proof that the person is who they are and a survey.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even need proof of income or bank statements or anything like that.
No.
A lot of them will ask for it.
Some of them don't, but a lot of them do.
But yeah, I mean, when you've got an example of certain lenders who literally don't ask for anything,
Yeah.
and then of course you've got compliance saying, well, you need to have one bank statement and you need to have one pay slip and all the rest of it. Okay, fine.
But they always ask for trail of funds.
But they will always ask for, right, where's the money come from for the deposit, or if it's a remortgage, where did the money come from, where you bought it from? It's a difficult one at the moment. If you obviously moving on to bridging, some lenders are fine with angel investors. Some lenders are not fine with angel investors. Some of them want 10% of your own money in it. And what I find is the most frustrating thing now is on the remortgage side of it, where lenders are like, "Oh, you used an angel to buy the property. No, we're not touching that."
Yeah.
I think that is a big issue with limited company mortgage lenders.
Well, they're the same as a bridging lender, really. Someone who has a loan agreement in place, you pay interest and they have a charge on the property. Just one's a company with 50 employees and one is one person.
Yeah, it doesn't make
Or
any
even
sense.
a company. They could be a company.
Yeah, they could be a company. But to me, when you remember, I had that question, why is the bridging lender unregulated?
Yeah, because they're an unregulated.
Because
they're a bridging lender.
They're an unregulated bridging lender. And why are they unregulated? Mate, 50% of the bridging lenders in the UK are unregulated.
And they're a very well-established bridging lender as well.
Yeah, I know. Again, it's common sense, right? And it's that same underwriter that doesn't understand the roof issue, right? It's a different case, same underwriter. Well, the roofer can't pay himself.
Yeah, well, it's expected.
But yeah, I think from an industry perspective, I think a lot of limited company buy-to-let mortgage lenders, they need to understand that angel investor.
But that's because they don't understand property.
No, and that it goes back to that same thing. If you don't understand property, you're not going to understand.
I know
angel
what one
investors.
of your pet peeves is on that topic.
Go on.
The client has grown too fast. Pet peeve.
Oh,
Like,
don't even get me started on that. Grown too fast. Like,
I even had it on my own case recently, where the lender said,
on your case?
yeah, the ones that I just remortgaged myself, where you did it. And you got it through.
Why? What did they say?
They asked why I'd bought.
So many?
Yeah, so many in one short period of time.
Well, why not? I felt like it.
Yeah.
What's it to you?
Because I have the ability to.
Yeah,
like, it's just...
It bothers me a lot. It bothers me a lot when they ask stupid questions like that, or they make ridiculous statements like, "Oh, you've grown too fast." It's like, all right, mate, tell that to a 15-year-old who's just grown by 9 inches in 1 year. "Oh, you've grown too fast, mate. You got to get out of here. You got to leave school now." Imagine if a school principal's like, "You grew too fast over the summer."
I just don't I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand if you can legitimately prove, maybe they come into inheritance or they sold a property or they've just been saving their whole entire
And they
life
decided to buy a portfolio.
or they cashed in their pension.
Yeah, but there's also loads of landlords who, I mean, we call them amateur landlords, but landlords who are basically, they're not professional landlords. They're not about growing a business, or they're a lot older and they just want to get out and they're done. They don't want to be a landlord anymore. Because of the legislations. But if they're letting go of their portfolio, I think I'd rather buy a portfolio than just buy a single asset.
Yeah.
by itself if I have the ability to buy that portfolio.
Well, it makes sense because you're solving the vendor's problem by taking all of his properties and solving your own problem by getting loads of properties.
How about you grew too fast?
You grew too fast. Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
And they also, I mean, I had this recently, actually just today, where they said, well, I've looked at the client's income and it doesn't match up to how they were able to buy an 85 grand property in cash. And I was like, well, there's a lot of reasons why they could have done that.
How old were the clients?
Early 30s.
What? So 10 years of working between two people means they couldn't have saved.
Well, there's that. I mean, in this case, one of the clients had sold their residential and used the cat because they were very smart. Got rid of their residential. It's for another time. Got rid of their residential, put it all into investment. So that money is working for them now. But they don't. I mean, it's fine. It's a legitimate source, but it's just little things like that where.
I think from a lender's perspective, if you kind of flip the coin on it, it's like, yes, I need to be careful. I'm lending on this property. I need to make sure that the person that I'm lending to knows what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I own multiple properties I've never even been to in my life. I've not picked up the keys. I've not smelt the paint when it's refurbed.
I've seen one of my properties.
I'm not renting it out. I've got a letting agent. I've got people doing it for me. Why on earth? Like when they say, oh, you live 187 miles away from your property, how are you going to look after it?
It's called a letting agent.
Do you know what letting agents are? Have you heard of that concept? You know, they generally have an office where there's about 5 or 6 people in there and they manage properties. They find you a tenant.
So
they help the tenant move in. And it's just like, what? Like, but yeah, so yes, they have that risk element, but half the time they're absolutely ridiculous in the questions that they're asking.
But we also get that when the client has done a refurb to the property and they're now refinancing at a higher value.
Oh, gosh.
Because we have all sorts of issues with that.
One of the questions that bugs me is like, oh, well, if you're buying a property and you're refurbishing it, it can't be worth this much now because it's within 6 months. That whole 6 months.
Mate, you didn't see it when I bought it. It was full of pigeons.
But it's like, if the surveyor has said the property is worth X, then the property is worth X. I don't care if I bought it yesterday or if I bought it 20 years ago. It's worth what it's worth.
Yeah.
And so for a lender to then turn around and say, oh, well, we're not going to mortgage it for that amount. We're going to mortgage it for X amount. It's just like, and then another thing I would say is the surveyors, which we'll do. We'll probably.
I think we did a whole episode of surveyors.
I think we did about 8 episodes for surveyors.
Can we get a surveyor on here?
Could you imagine? Probably destroy them.
That would be an episode to watch.
But if we had you're renting a property. Let's say you've got a property, it's worth 100 grand, for example, and then you're renting it and you're getting £750 a month in rent, like just for argument's sake. The surveyor says, nah, 650 rent. What?
We see it every day.
Do you not see the AST? The AST has 750, right? Or the PRT in Scotland has 750 on it. I'm getting 750. You see my bank statement that has 750. Now, our surveyor said it's 650. Are you insane?
But
oh, show me examples. This property is your comparable. Property is the
example. But then they'll happily, when they do, they'll lend on purchase price because that's what it's worth at the time to somebody. They'll happily go by what it's worth to somebody at the time on a purchase price, but not worth to someone at a time when it's renting.
Yeah, I just
pick and choose.
But it is what it is. But I guess that's it. I swear there's loads more. We need about 8 episodes.
We could do more.
On just lending. Just lending.
We've got loads of stories.
Yeah, there are loads of stories. But yeah, I guess that's it for this episode. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. More than happy for you guys to leave comments for any questions that you've got. We're open to doing episodes on specific criteria or cases or topics that you want us to discuss. I'm more than happy to do that, both of us. But yeah, thank you once again, and we'll see you next time.